All right, we promised you Steve Kerr. Listen to this now, okay? This is from October 8th of last year, after the incident.
Thank you.
We got it, by the way. I think we collectively need to figure out if this is going to be called the incident or the punch.
Well, I called it the punch yesterday, and I got dead air.
Well, and we still, to this day, we don't know. I mean, it's only one day later, but I still don't know if Steve just maybe he had a frog in his throat.
I don't think so.
Or maybe he hates you.
I don't think he hates me because he laughed at one of my later quips about Steph Curry maybe being over the hill and not ready for the Olympic team.
Yeah, I mean, boy, do you know anybody who knows how to pull off a fake laugh?
A couple people. Wait, was that a fake laugh?
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Man. Second guessing everything now.
Second one was real. Anyway.
Thanks. I couldn't tell.
Okay, so here's...
That one's real, I know, because you can't contain yourself.
Oh,
when the head goes down, I know you're really laughing.
All right, so here's Steve Kerr, who's asked about the locker room after the incident.
I think it's really important for our fans to know what's going on with the team. And then there are times it's really important for things that only concern the team to stay quiet and stay within the sanctity of the locker room, which, given where we are in 2022, that's almost becoming an oxymoron. We have cameras in our locker room during halftime of the finals. So the sanctity of the locker room has been under assault for a long time. But I think given the state of the world right now and how we live and social media, constant criticism, judgment that comes with all that, we understand that's a big part of what drives the NBA. So that means what we have to do is try to find the balance. And this is a big test for us, finding that balance, giving our fans information on one side and handling our business internally so that we can be the best version of ourselves all season long. And that's what we're trying to do.
I can see why that rubbed some people the wrong way.
Oh, he was pissed.
Except
you could hear it in the answer.
But what was he pissed about?
He was pissed about the fact that the news got out. He was more angry about that getting out than he was about Shams finding out about the starting lineup. But he was mad about Shams finding out about the starting lineup.
Right.
Steve is mad about the sanctity of the locker room and the sanctity of what is private becoming public.
But here's the question that I think a lot of people ask. Are you more upset about the sanctity of the locker room than you are that Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole? That's the question. And I think that's why you said this earlier. I don't know if it's still the case. I do firmly believe it was the case then. We talk about trust. Jordan lost trust. Forget Draymond. Jordan lost trust in the Warriors. Jordan lost trust in the Warriors. Jordan had a problem with the way that the Warriors handled the aftermath. Now, I don't know if he still does, but at that time, A, they didn't suspend him, and B, they're giving answers like that. Draymond punches Jordan Poole, and people show up to be angry that not that it happened, but that you found out. That, I'm sure, rubbed Jordan and others the wrong way. I have no question about that.
Agreed, and I will add one log to the fire, and this is just based on fact, and I'm not trying to inflame anybody down there at Chase Center, but Draymond Green was suspended in 2018 for one game for an altercation with Kevin Durant, and I don't believe in that altercation. It involved the punching of another person in the face. It was a verbal altercation, and you remember it stemmed from an incident where Draymond Green got a rebound and Kevin Durant was clapping, and Draymond pew down the court
against the Clippers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
In a game that I believe they went on to lose.
Sure did.
There was an altercation, and Draymond Green was suspended for that verbal altercation. Yet when he punches Jordan Poole in the face in the incident, as I guess we're calling it,
the incident,
right? The incident that was leaked to TMZ. He was not suspended for that incident, but he was suspended for this incident.
Well,
not that Jordan Poole was on the team in 2018, but I'm sure he's aware of, of what happened.
Absolutely. And I do think this, which is that sometimes we ask for everybody to be treated the same. and they're not. So why was that one different? It's Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant. The Warriors felt like Draymond was jeopardizing their chances to keep Kevin Durant. They didn't have to worry about jeopardizing keeping Jordan Poole. He's already got a new 4-year deal. And he's 20, at the time, was he even 23 yet? 22, 23 years old. He didn't have the cachet yet. So does that rub you the wrong way? I can see why it does some, but I also understand that there are always different rules for different people. You telling me that the rules are same for Steph Curry and Dante DiVincenzo?
No.
The rules are not the same.
And they're not the same for Draymond Green and Draymond Green. And that's
an interesting point.
Well, because, Draymond is suspended for a verbal altercation with Kevin Durant. Draymond Green is not suspended for a verbal altercation with Steve Kerr that happened a couple of years earlier in a locker room that was not leaked. And then Draymond Green is for the Kevin Durant, but he's not for the Jordan Poole. So dealing with Draymond Green, as we've seen, I can't imagine. Maybe Bob Myers someday will write a book entitled Dealing with Draymond because Bob Myers has been the absolute best at it. Steve Kerr has been right there as well. Tom Izzo, we've had him on the show many times, has spoken to the passion with which Draymond Green plays. I don't know if Tom ever had to deal with this level of an incident, as we're now calling it, with Draymond Green. But when you have a player like Draymond, it is an all-day sucker because you have to have Draymond. But at the same time, I don't know if it's you can't stand having Draymond, but there is a part of coaching Draymond that is exhausting.
Izzo just said last week to Bonte and Shasky, he's crazy. Draymond's crazy.
Like a fox.
But like a fox, yes.
Right?
So it feels like everybody who's close to him, we can't act like we understand that, but it feels like everyone who's close with him loves him and hates him. It's one of those love-hate things, and maybe those aren't the right words. But there's a yin-yang where Draymond will come back and he's self-aware and he's such a good talker. He says the right things. He's super, super smart, both on and off the court. There are all kinds of good things that make him a person you want to be around. And then he makes you rub your temples. Then he makes you rub your temples and gives you a migraine once a week.
And just when you are ready to move off of Draymond, he comes out
with
and
brilliance.
Goes 14, 11, and 10 and shuts down the best player on the other team, leads you to a victory, leads you to a championship, leads you to a playoff win. Whatever it is he does on the court makes you think, we can't get rid of Draymond. And then hours later, we have got to get rid of Draymond. All in the same breath.
And that's power. That's power. Like if it ever feels like the Warriors are afraid of Draymond, I don't know if that's the right word, but they kind of are because he knows they are up a creek without him.
I think they're afraid of life without Draymond, but at the same time, they're probably afraid of what Draymond might do next. And we've seen him get ejected from games for no reason, and the Warriors inexplicably lose that game. We've seen him get suspended from NBA Finals games, and the team blows a 3-1 lead, not solely because of it, but largely because of it. We've seen him run off Kevin Durant because, Kevin Durant, I'm sure, would have loved to have been a Warrior longer than that, but the Draymond-KD relationship was untenable in many ways, yet the guy's won 4 championships, so what are you going to do?
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app. Steve Kerr yesterday. What about if Draymond is not back? What about life without Draymond?
If Draymond's not back, we're not a championship contender. We know that. He's that important to winning and to who we are. So I absolutely want him back. He's a competitor. He's an incredible defensive player. We can check all those boxes. And he and I have built a really special relationship that has run the gamut. Over the years, we've had our share of run-ins, but we've been through so much. We really care about each other and work together well. He knows that he had a great season this year from a basketball perspective, but he knows that he also compromised things by what happened back in October. And so part of him coming back next year has to be about, rebuilding some of that trust and respect that he's earned here for a long period of time. And one thing I love about Draymond is he's always brutally honest, and he can take that sort of critique because he knows it's the truth. So I want him back. I think we all want him back. And hopefully that's exactly what happens. And we get ready to make another run next year.
That's a whole lot of power. That's a whole lot of power. Just that first sentence. If Draymond's not back, we can't win. That's a lot of power, and he knows he has it.
And you can debate the other side of that all you want, but I don't think that you're going to win that argument with any reasonable NBA person in terms of what he brings to this team. And you can look at all the negative and all the downside, the technicals, the flagrants, the NBA Finals where he gets suspended and all the rest of it. Yet you look at 4 championships, and you think that Steph and Clay would have 4 titles if Draymond Green was never a Golden State Warrior?
0.
Probably. I was just going to ask you how many, Mark.
0.
How many do you think that
0.
Even
0.
But what?
0.
Geez, you
I can put it this way.
I can work in concert. Late, Grandy, but I get it.
I feel so strongly about Steph, and I guess by extension Clay. He has truly achieved greatness as well. But when you talk about players who have that ability to simply walk on the court and change the whole structure of what's going on just because they're there, that's Steph. I can see scenarios if he was on, he had a different set of teammates where that was part of a championship. But if you're asking me, do these Warriors currently, as they've been constructed the last 10 years and did not have Draymond, would they have won? No. I mean, I guess if Kevin Durant, Steph, and Clay were just without Draymond there, they would have been a contender. Yeah, and they might have won. They might have. But, I don't ever, there's never been a time where they've won those 4 rings where I felt like they could have done it without the presence of Draymond Green.
I don't think Kevin Durant comes without Draymond Green being here.
And the defensive end, even with Kevin here, the defensive end doesn't work.
Right.
And that's what wins it for you.
And what we forget about the Kevin Durant era was Draymond Green was a big reason why Kevin Durant started playing defense. In the second year of the title run, Kevin Durant was an elite defender. There was talk about him being all defense because he exerted on the defensive end, because Draymond cajoled him into being, fulfilling his defensive promise, and he was a great defensive player when he played alongside Draymond. So it just speaks to the ongoing conundrum of Draymond Green, the old adage of can't live with him, can't live without him, and that is Draymond in a nutshell.
I don't want to give Draymond all the credit for this, but when you see people play better defense than they ever have before, give better effort than they ever have before in their career, and players who have played on other teams in the NBA, what do you think that is? Why did Kevin Durant play so much better on defense when he was here? Why do you think Andrew Wiggins suddenly works? Why do you think that is? Why do you think Gary Payton II couldn't even get a gig, and then the next thing you know, they're like, this guy's one of the greatest defensive players in the whole league? I'm not giving all of that credit to Draymond, but I'm giving some.
Yeah, it's contagious.
I'm giving some.
Well, when you play with Draymond Green, there are certain things that you can't help but do. One of them is exert effort. And that's why 2 things stand out about what you just said, Mark. One, it took him until February to get his voice back. I don't think that he's lying. I don't think that he's wrong. To me, it's disappointing that is the reality, because you're right, Mark. What Draymond brings to a team when he's at his best is contagious. Juan Toscano-Anderson, GP2, you can't help but play your hardest basketball when he's around. The other piece of that is the Jonathan Kuminga angle, because Jonathan Kuminga, if Draymond wouldn't have punched Jordan Poole, how would his arc have been? If Draymond had his voice, if Kuminga was able to lean on Draymond Green, because Draymond himself said it wasn't until February where I could really be myself. How much did that affect Jonathan Kuminga?
It's a great question.
Boy, that's a great question.
Great question. It does, of course, does not have an answer. It's one of those questions.
Right.
But it's a subject matter that I find very curious and interesting. Because the young core all kind of went together, and Draymond lost the voice, and that changes the arc of those players.